All right, so why don't we get started? Again, happy Thursday, everyone. Thanks for making the time to join us. My name is Kevin Morris. I'll be hosting and moderating today's webinar. Today's a fun one. I think these are all fun. They're all different format, but we're going to be talking about, first of all, the future of self-driving, of course, but we're going to be doing some comparisons of Tesla's technology, Waymo's technology, and most importantly, Epilog's technology. I'd like to introduce Mark Munford, business development at Epilog. He's actually in the car today. Mark, make sure you keep your eyes on the road, or maybe you don't have to because of the technology. But happy to have you here, and we'll be segueing to you in a little bit. And of course, Michael Mojaver, CEO and founder of Epilog. And Michael, thank you for coming today and taking the time, and I'll hand the mic over to you.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll be reviewing full self-driving. Mainly that's available for Waymo and Tesla right now, and then compared to assisted driving, like what BMW, what I showed you in the previous presentation, and of course, Sidecar. So the agenda for today will start with a self-driving poll. We'll hope that you can all participate in it. Next, we'll be covering the Waymo robotaxi, and then the Tesla full self-driving system. And then we'll have a live demo. That's why Mark is here. He'll show you Sidecar and operation live. And then as in the final part, we'll do a comparison between the different technologies and answer any questions you have. So we'll start with the poll. I'm going to turn it over to Kevin at this point to run the poll.
Yeah, and Michael, if you want to keep that, I think these slides that you have the poll in them.
Okay.
So why don't we just have you go to the next slide? So I'm going to be publishing polls on your screen at the bottom right. You'll see a polls button. You're going to see the first one shortly. And you'll be able to vote on those. And again, we want to take through the first question. In general, what is your average commute time each day? It could be nothing because you could be working from home. It could be 10 to 20 miles, 20 to 30 miles, or even more, 40 miles. So please go ahead and fill out your responses on the bottom right of your screen. And it looks like this person here that you showed, Michael, has an hour, 50-mile commute. So. And that is not the Caltrain. I don't think that's actually the 101. So yeah. First question: what is your average commute time each day? All right. Next one. Do you use Uber or Lyft? And of course, if you do, and more importantly, how often do you use Uber or Lyft or any sort of ride-sharing service? All right, a reminder, do you use Uber or Lyft? And go ahead and give us your answer. Next one, Michael. Do you use assisted or full self-driving in your automobile? And if you do, is it every day, once a week, once a month, or almost never? And again, would you as well? If you had it in your car and you don't have it, would you use it? All right, and final question. Oh, I think we're missing it, but you might have skipped over. But would you use Waymo? I've never used Waymo. While people are answering that one, I've never used Waymo. This is poll question number 4. But I see it in my neighborhood, and I get a little scared sometimes. There's no one in the car. But I think I would try it. But maybe not with the kids to start. But all right. So let's see here. Where did my thing go? All right. So let's check out results. For the first question, my commute time each day looks like most people, in fact, about 80% of all respondents commute less than 10 miles a day or up to 20 miles a day. So anywhere from nothing to 20 miles. About 40% of people commute less than 10 miles a day, and 40% commute about 10 to 20 miles away a day. So not a ton. You're not talking about long commutes here. Next question, Uber. Wow, 40%, or 43% of people almost never use Uber or Lyft. And then you sort of get about 30% use it once, almost daily or once a week. And then about the rest, 30% use a ride-sharing service once a month. Assisted self-driving. I would use, or I do use assisted self-driving. 50%. Wow, that's surprising. 50% use it every day. And 25% use it, about 25% use it once a week. So yeah, I'm actually surprised by that. You're getting about 75% of people would use it at least once a week, if not more often. And then finally, I would or do use Waymo. This is a big, wow, this is a big jump. 63% of people would almost never use Waymo, or would not use Waymo if they sort of had the option in their neighborhood or in their community. And then you have about an equal split. Some people do it daily. That's about 10-15%. About 10-15% would use it once a week, and then the final would be about once a month. So that's interesting. It's sort of a big gap between Uber, Lyft, and using self-driving sort of full or partial automation technology in their cars. And then you go to Waymo, and people get a little scared, like me, Michael. You know.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. I guess I'm going to come back to these polls and explain to you why these numbers are really interesting, and they tie into the presentation today. So I'm going to cover the Waymo robotaxi first. So this is a service that is only available in 4 metropolitan areas in the U.S. right now. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Austin. We have about 1,600 vehicles. Nobody really knows what the cost is, but it's sort of like between $150,000 to $350,000 per vehicle. But what's really interesting is that there's sort of like 1.5 persons per vehicle. So I'll get to that, why that is in a minute. If you could please run the video, Kevin, the first video.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll make sure I do the right one. Okay. All right, here we go.
All right, so Waymo picks you up just like Uber, and then you can decide to sit in the rear or front seat, obviously not the driver's seat. And then, this particular trip is just across town in San Francisco, and we drove through Chinatown, which is a really challenging area with a lot of pedestrians and sort of like tricky corners and traffic, and really impressive performance. Other parts of the drive, actually, it seems like Waymo likes to pick really straight lines most of the time, or as often as it can. And then in those areas, it's pretty much the same as Tesla or Sidecar. So where it gets into trouble and the driver has to come in is like this example right here. There's no driver in the car. So you and I will be able to tell just looking at the, through the window, the real window, that there's nobody in the car. But so in this case, the operator had to override it. And there were many more cases like this. Like in about an hour riding, I think there was probably I'm guessing maybe about 10% of it was remotely operated. So back to the presentation. So we're going to cover Tesla next. And so this was, we actually tested this on 2 different models, the Model X and the Model Y with the latest FSD software. And really, really impressive software, obviously. It is sort of like the leading solution on the planet right now. Just compared to Sidecar and BMW Personal Pilot, which I think is like really like the closest thing to Sidecar. We basically cover auto steering and we're traffic aware. We don't navigate. We don't do automatic lane changes. Those are assisted, but not automatic. And then some of the other areas which Tesla does and the FSD or attempts to are basically auto lane changes, automatic parking, and then stop and go traffic. And that's sort of like the plan. And so I'll show you like what my experience was in the video. Kevin, if you could please run the video for the Tesla.
Yep.
So this is the Tesla in the same pretty much situation, driving through heavy pedestrian areas and sort of complicated scenarios. Obviously, you don't get stuck because you're in charge and you're the remote driver, effectively in the Waymo. But it's incredibly intense. You have to stay really focused because ultimately you're responsible for whatever happens, even though the vehicle is self-driving. In the traffic situation, like on the freeway, so Waymo doesn't do that right now, but they'll be offering that at least in the Bay Area, like I think probably sometime this year. It's very similar to either the BMW or the sidecar solution, where but the only difference really is that it does automatic lane changes, which are actually quite nerve-wracking. So I personally prefer to be doing that manually or assisted, essentially, with sidecar. So if you can go back to the presentation, please. So I guess like the main thing with Tesla full self-driving right now is that it's really you in charge of or in control of the system. And so it basically like every now and then wants you to intervene and to take over the system. And so I would say it's probably maybe a year or two away from where you're sitting in the passenger seat, sort of like optimistically. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark now with the sidecar live demo.
Hello, am I on now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Hi guys, how you doing? Thanks for coming to the webinar. I'm driving sidecar, as you can see right now, in a 2020 Toyota RAV4, and I'm on a freeway, and I wanted to show you how sidecar acts here. Freeway driving and highway driving, commute level driving is really what sidecar is very well suited for. It basically allows you to relax. It's a more sophisticated way of driving, if I may say myself, and it's of course gives you the assisted driving safety benefit of always being on and never being distracted. And not not a stressful environment and not a stressful driving experience here. So I'm on the road here, and I'm doing, let's say, set sidecar to 65 miles an hour. This happens to be a pretty clear freeway. Anybody who's has done commute every day, you know that especially around rush hour time, it just gets stop and go, and sidecar is able to take some of that effort and that danger away from you. It does assisted lane changes here. I just had to point in the right direction, and it'll find the next lane over. This actually, if a car. Here's a car that's going to jump in front of us here, and sidecar automatically figures out what the distance it needs to do and controls the car and slows down. And I think as we go a little further here, it's going to take the turns. It's very smooth. It's optimized for the cruising within the lanes. when it can detect the lanes. As you can see, some of the other solutions out there that are on the OEM platforms, they kind of careen back and forth in trying to find where the lane is. Sidecar is optimized to be able to use our visual imaging technology along with ever improving artificial intelligence to figure out what's a smooth drive for you to go. And it's a very relaxing, effective, and safe way to drive your commute. And you're not stressed. You're not angry when you get home or you get to work because your commute took so long and you were stopping and going, et cetera, et cetera. So far, Sidecar has driven this entire time that you've seen here, and done a really good job for this. More information on Sidecar can be found at our website for drivesidecar.com. Appreciate any support you have for our fundraising campaign. And if you're interested in getting Sidecar for your car, right now we cover the Toyotas, RAV4s, Highlanders, and Corollas from 2019 onwards. The form factor of Sidecar, as you probably can see from the website, it just sits behind the rearview mirror. It's very non-intrusive. If somebody didn't tell you that it was there, it would you wouldn't know it was there. It's that small and that unintrusive. So I think they might have a little bit of traffic coming up here, and that should be a good test. It's only about 2:17 in the afternoon here in Silicon Valley, so rush hour commute hasn't hit yet. But there we go.
I guess it might be a while, but
oh no, something's coming up. We're going to get some slow down traffic coming up here in about a minute or so, and it manages it itself.
I would say, like just based on this testing that I did with the other systems. It's really, this is the ideal situation. You're on a sort of like an extended drive. And so I'm going to get back to the poll, who is benefiting.
Yeah, so here's exactly, it's going to slow down automatically by itself. This isn't me, I'm not hitting the brakes. It figures out itself what to do, how to slow down, how to keep yourself safe. This guy's going to cut in front of me right here, and perfect. It just manages that fine. So yeah, optimal and equivalent to the Tesla FSD on the freeway and the highway experience. This is like that. The street level experience is not quite as advanced as that yet, but for commute trafficking, for daily grinding, this is a much better, much safer, much more relaxed way to travel.
All right, thank you,
Okay.
Mark. I guess I'm going to move on to I really appreciate you showing the participant what this experience is like. So I'm going to go to the next section, which is the comparison. And so if you've seen the previous presentations, I did a comparison with the Tesla Autopilot, which is non-FSD, the BMW Personal Pilot, and now we're basically comparing to the Tesla FSD and Waymo. So obviously there are some things that these other systems, like the FSD and the Waymo, do that we can't do right now. But I think if you look at it from the point of view of how much time you spend on the road and what your traffic is like. So it's basically kind of like two suggestions. Kind of back to the poll. I know if you have a small sample, it's only dozen people participating, but the average commute is sort of like between 10 and like in this between up to 20 miles effectively. And so most of that is probably going to be freeway. I'd say like at least 50% of it, or maybe more for most people. And then so when you get into the city area with sort of like where the Waymos are operating, or like what the Ubers are, the local sort of these short drives, is where the FSD would be beneficial, Waymo would be beneficial. And so we're not currently supporting that. So really like the FSD game is between sort of like Tesla and Waymo. They're competing for the Uber customer base. And just my own experience, like having done this comparison, Waymo is in a really great position to sort of like take over the robotaxi business in the short term. So they've done sort of like 1 million rides in 2023. Not that much revenue, and really small compared to say Uber, which has done like 10 billion rides, but in a position to sort of like deliver full self-driving. And I guess like the key component here is that the Waymo system is really like remotely operated. There are people that will jump in and take over the car when it gets into a difficult spot, or if it's sort of like a dangerous area where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic. And so in the Tesla, you're basically doing that. So I think I see Waymo positioned really well to take over the robotaxi market. From a practical point of view, and based on the poll that you are also provided, I think most people are probably using some sort of assisted driving, or prefer to use assisted driving. I would say until like for example, the Tesla system is ready. This would be probably at least a year, I think, or two away, where it's comparable to a Waymo service. And then ultimately, I think we will be able to support some of the features that Tesla has, but it's probably a few years away. So that's the end of my presentation, and I can take any questions if there are any.
Yeah, thanks. First of all, thanks, Michael and Mark. That was really cool. It's neat to first of all learn about some of these competing technologies, but also to have Mark put his life on the line, but not really, showing Sidecar on the road. And did you say what freeway you're on out there?
Yeah, I was on 87 going south, and now I'm on 85 going north.
All right, all right. Does
and I haven't touched it since I started talking.
Does Sidecar, can it take you in and out as well? You know, I could use a burger right now.
That's the year 2 option.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, everyone, as a reminder, you can ask questions during our webinar. We have time for a couple questions. As you're sort of thinking about those questions, I want to remind you that Epilog does have a fundraise that's currently live on Start Engine. You can visit startengine.com/Epilog, EPILOG, and you can invest now. So first question is from, this was a great one. What will be the next makes and models of vehicles for Sidecar?
So we are in the, like Mark mentioned, the system currently is essentially like custom to every model that we support. So like it's really looks like an OEM installation. And we're coming up with a new version, I think, like in the next month or so, where it supports all the different brands. It's more like a dash cam or a radar detector. And so that's really like the main limitation we have, is just supporting all the different physical configurations that different cars have. And so we've kind of worked around it with this new design. So especially like Honda, most Subaru, if you actually go to Sidecar drivesidecar.com, you can see all the
different models and things.
all
Okay.
different models that we support. That's a pretty long list.
Yeah, gotcha. Let's see. Next question here is, how have sales been going so far with Sidecar?
We're pretty much selling them as fast as we can make them, but it is like we have limited production capability right now because we have to fine tune the production. I think we have plenty of demand, and I think once we switch over to supporting like all these other, so just to answer the quick question, if you go on Sidecar.com, there's Acura, Audi, Buick, Chevrolet, Chrysler, Ford, a lot of different brands. There's probably like almost every brand. There would have to be more recent models, like after 2020, and so I think we're hoping to see be able to be in a position to really support like a sales ramp once we support those new models.
Yeah. Makes sense. And yeah, just on a sales perspective, there is a limited time price available if you're interested for $649 right now on the website. You can buy right now after the webinar. We have actually shipped units to customers across the country so far, including California, of course, Massachusetts, Michigan, just to name a few, and some in the South. So from what I've seen and learned about the company, making a lot of progress on the technology, literally building them as fast as you can sell them and vice versa. So it's been great to see. It's great to see it in the market too. Michael, if some people had more questions specifically about Sidecar, they could go on the website, which is drivesidecar.com. Is there, could they ask questions and, is there customer support?
Yeah, you can. There's a email support on the support at, I think it's support at Epilog, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
There'll be a link on there for questions.
That's great. The other question that I've seen come up a lot is, if you install Sidecar, would that sort of void any warranty you have for your car?
It does not.
That's great. What about driving on the other side of the road in like, not that Mark should go on the other side of the road now, but in places like
hey, wait a minute now.
India, the UK, do you guys support that yet?
Well, in principle, it's not different because the way the AI is trained, it will work on the mirror image the same way. It's really like lane keeping, and it's not changing lanes right now, so it doesn't matter if the lanes are your right or left. So you decide where to go and whichever lane that you choose, and it doesn't make a difference if you're on the left or the right side. So you could support it in basically any country. Once we have the new configuration, one caveat actually is that we would have to make a slightly different box for the driver monitoring system so that it points at the driver on the opposite side. Right now, it's assuming that it's the left-hand drive.
Yeah, great. Well, that actually puts us at time for the webinar. Any final thoughts or comments, Michael or Mark?
Yeah, just one jump in there. You got to try it. You got to take a test drive, because I'm sure you've seen a number of the Teslas and the Waymos and the Cruises online videos, and you see that same car going through some traffic. It's a much different experience when you're sitting in the driver's seat and you're experiencing it. It is so cool. Everybody just loves it when you actually have the chance to be the person in control of this thing and then see how it actually helps you. So you contact us. Let's figure out how to get you behind the seat. Let's figure out how we get test drives done, and you're gonna love it. That's the feedback we've been getting.
That's great. Well, I'll need to try it out soon too. Maybe my minivan. If you guys,
yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well, excellent, Michael, Mark. Thank you as always, Mark. Great to have you on. And thanks for showing the tech live. We'll be sending out a recording after this. And again, check out our investment round live on startengine.com/epilog. So thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
Bye.